All right, Andrew Easton with the ESUCC, and I'm super grateful to Rhonda Jindra and Chris Good of ESU1 for joining me for a conversation that we're going to have around fostering and maintaining relationships remotely. We're going to call this particular one Part 1, as we're going to get to a number of different ideas here, and so check out Part 2 as well and any subsequent ones from there. But we'll just dive right into it. And so Rhonda, Chris, thank you. And yeah, what's the first idea under that topic?
Well, you know, when we consider connecting with learners in a remote setting, we think about using some type of virtual conferencing tool such as Zoom. So when you are meeting with students in a Zoom, you may want to either schedule single or one-on-one conferencing with those students, having them either use a Google Calendar appointment or the scheduling feature in Canvas to create 5-minute blocks, 10-minute blocks where you can connect with that student and have a one-on-one conversation. When you're in a class with students, you can leverage that breakout room tool inside of Zoom where you can be putting small groups of students together, and then you could maybe pull a student out or 2 or 3 students out of the main room into that small breakout room and have a check-in with that particular student or students.
You know, Chris, I think too, though, even with in the Zoom, that you could also make that fun, and you could have people dress up some days, you know, and say, hey, this is our sports themed day, and see what people bring. You have some of those features now in Zoom where you can put in, I don't know, what do you call those little
video filters?
Glasses. Yeah, the video filters. You could do some things like that, you know, just have students have some guidelines and rules ahead of time as to what's appropriate. But I think there's some ways to bring some fun and enthusiasm to using those particular tools too.
Another thing that you can be using is if you're working in a learning management system, you can be leveraging that discussions tool. And the discussions tool will allow the student to express their thoughts. And then as a teacher, if you choose to, you can go in and respond privately to that student or that small group of students.
Yeah, so that makes me think a little bit about Flipgrid as well, because that's, if you don't have the learning management system that you were referencing in that particular tool, you could use Flipgrid, you know, get students familiar with that tool. You use it yourself as the instructor and create little welcome videos. You know, this is Rhonda Jindra, I'm your instructor for the course, and here's 3 things I want to tell you about myself. And then have students do the same thing and ensure that they're out there watching those. But I think Flipgrid's just a great tool to build relationships, especially if you're not in the room together. You know, you're not on site together. I know our college in the area has done that too. When they've had students wearing masks, they went to Flipgrid so that they could see what their classmates look like, and had similar process where they created a little video to tell everyone about themselves.
You know, Rhonda, you got me thinking when you said something about using videos. There are, in the learning management system, there is a video feature that you can use to offer feedback to a student. And that, you know, can be a great way for the student to recognize that you are in that class and you are looking at the work that they're submitting. And then they're also able to make connections with you because they're seeing you and they're hearing you. If you're using something like Google Classroom and you don't have a video feature, you can use Mote as an audio feedback tool to offer students. Kind of in your wheelhouse, Rhonda, are handwritten notes.
Yeah, that's kind of my thing. I know that seems kind of like old school. Here we are, we're talking about remote learning, it's virtual, and yet I'm saying send a handwritten note to your students. Who doesn't love getting some kind of mail? And a handwritten note, those usually are going to stick around a while. They might end up showing up at graduation time on their celebration table, that this was something I got from a teacher back at, you know, in 2020, and it still means a lot to me today. You know, at the ESU, we've been intentional about doing that as well, because we're doing everything virtual, and our all staff day is virtual. So we have divided up staff and done the same thing. We're writing handwritten notes to them And we've seen examples where staff said, this meant a lot to me. And Chris and I have received notes as well, and we still have them. I use them as bookmarks because I get to see them all the time. So handwritten notes sounds old school, still makes a difference.
Yep. And do you want to talk a little bit about icebreakers or setting up some type of opening activity when students enter into the Zoom room?
Sure. There's a lot of fun memes right now that you can pull together and bring at the start of a class and put it up and ask students, hey, take a look at this. Give us a number that you're feeling right now. And it could give students an opportunity to sense what's going on in the room today. This is Chris. She's feeling kind of like a 1, which is pretty low. Here's Rhonda. She's marking it as a 3. She's kind of in the middle. And we got Andrew. He's at 5. He's at the top end. So right away, all of us, teachers, students, we're getting a feel for what people are experiencing right now as we start. So that's just a fun way to get going. There's lots of ideas for icebreakers that don't take a lot of time that you can use to help build that relationship with students.
Yeah, and with those opening activities, it could be when the student hits a Zoom room, you have a little clock running that says that class is going to start like in 5 minutes, and go and find something and bring it back. So they
sort of a scavenger hunt, huh?
Yeah,
okay.
Like a little online scavenger hunt. So maybe they got to go find their favorite baseball cap or something like that. And they grab that, they put that on, that gets them engaged and ready to go for your class.
Yep, and they're up and moving. You've given them a time to get up and get out of that Zoom space for a little bit. These are all things we can use as we're working with adults too.
Yep. So there you have it, Andrew.
The whole part 1. That's all we needed.
Yeah.
Spot on. That was me thinking we would need several parts. So I appreciate the wealth of ideas you're able to get to in a pretty efficient time. And in the midst of that, I was just going to add, I love Flipgrid AR. Is a really cool feature. If you haven't had a chance to use that, check that out. And I created last year, whenever I was still in the classroom, a little place where students could scan that it ends up producing a QR code. And they can see you, and you can have even like a little SEL check if you wanted, where students could leave kind of emotionally where they're at and contact you anytime with those, which I think is kind of a cool relationship piece. And I would add to, we were talking about opening activities. My son's teacher was doing something similar to that with Elf on the Shelf. So every day they were supposed to take their little iPad and run and go show what it was that they where the elf was at that day. And
that's great.
Yeah, that is a great idea.
Yeah,
those little things can be so fun. And so thanks for advocating for this great work. I really appreciate learning from both of you, and thanks for your time.
Yeah,
you bet.
thank you, Andrew.
Thanks.